I was actually looking forward to Christmas this year. For once, I wasn't scrambling at the last minute to pull everything together. By the first week of December, I'd already bought presents for everyone. My parents, my brother Jacob, his wife Kelly, and their kids. I even got extra gifts, just in case anyone brought unexpected guests. There was this inexplicable optimism in the air, like this year was going to be different. Better. So imagine my shock when, as I stood on my parents' front porch with 2 bags of carefully wrapped presents, my mom opened the door and said, "We don't want you here this year." At first, I thought it was some sort of cruel joke. I even started to laugh a little, until Jacob's voice cut through from behind her. "This is no place for losers," he said, smirking. The words hit like a slap. I stared at my mom, hoping she'd correct him, but she didn't. She just looked uncomfortable, her eyes darting away from mine. Behind her, my dad avoided eye contact altogether, fidgeting awkwardly. And Jacob? He stood there looking smug, like he'd just won something. A swirl of emotions surged through me, confusion, anger, embarrassment, but somehow I stayed calm. I nodded and muttered, "Fine, if that's how you feel," and walked back to my car. But as I sat there in the driveway, staring at the bags of presents I'd spent weeks picking out, something shifted inside me. No place for losers? Where was this coming from? I thought about Jacob, how I'd helped him and his family countless times. School supplies for his kids, summer camp fees, even pitching in on his mortgage when money was tight. And now I wasn't welcome at Christmas? I wasn't leaving without answers. I left the presents in the car and marched back to the door. My parents were still whispering to each other like they hadn't expected me to return. Jacob lounged on the couch, scrolling through his phone, pretending nothing had happened. "What's going on?" I demanded as I stepped inside. "Why am I not welcome? What did I do?" Jacob didn't even look up. "You've been slacking off," he said with a shrug. "The kids barely got anything from you this year. It's embarrassing for us." "Embarrassing?" I echoed, stunned. "I've spent hundreds on gifts for your kids. They have more in the car than anyone else." He finally looked up, his smirk growing wider. "Last year you did more. This year it's like you don't care." I turned to my parents, expecting support, but my mom just said, "You bought a new car recently. You had money for that." I couldn't believe what I was hearing. "The car is on credit," I said, my voice rising. "And even if it wasn't, how does buying a car suddenly make me responsible for Jacob's kids? They're not my responsibility." Jacob leaned back, his tone dripping with condescension. "We're family. Families help each other. You've always done that." I looked at Kelly, who sat silently in the corner. Her face was flushed, her gaze fixed on her hands. She looked like she wanted to disappear. "Because I've been generous," I said, my voice shaking. "I'm now obligated to do so forever? And if I don't, I'm a loser." Jacob shrugged. "If the shoe fits?" That was the breaking point. I shook my head and stepped back. "You're right," I said quietly. "I don't belong here." I looked at my parents. "Enjoy your Christmas." Then I turned to Jacob. "And good luck with those presents because this loser is done financing your life." I walked out without waiting for a response. When I got home, I couldn't shake the anger and betrayal. For years, I'd been the one holding Jacob's family together, but instead of gratitude, I got humiliation. The next morning, I made a decision. I was done. No more handouts, no more playing savior. Jacob would have to figure it out on his own. Weeks passed, and the silence from my family was deafening. Then, in February, Jacob showed up at my door. "We need to talk," he said, pushing past me into my home. I crossed my arms. "What do you want, Jacob?" He got straight to the point. "You need to start helping again. The kids barely have what they need." I couldn't help but laugh. "You're a grown man, Jacob. Get a job. It's not my responsibility to fix your life." The conversation escalated, and for the first time, I laid everything out. His lies, his entitlement, and how I was done being used. But it wasn't over. A few days later, I got a call from a lawyer. Jacob's wife, Kelly, had discovered he'd been funneling the money I'd given him into a hidden account, spending it on gambling and who knows what else. She was planning to leave him, and she did. One day, while Jacob was out, Kelly packed up and moved her kids to another state. Jacob called me, ranting, blaming me for everything, but I told him the truth. His lies, his manipulation, and his selfishness were what destroyed his family, not me. What happened next? Did Jacob try to get even? Did Kelly and the kids rebuild their lives? Subscribe to my channel to find out.